I love the PlayStation 1 style genre. It might be perfect. I eat that stuff up constantly. Is it because they are games that my PC can actually run? Yes. Is it cause I'm poor and the games are affordable? Yes. But I've always been an advocate for graphics not being the main focus of games. Gameplay should always be in that spot. And I'm glad that a good portion of the community has started to realize that, especially when Lethal Company beat Call of Duty in sales purely from its charm. God bless the funny game for that. Usually I watch this style of game from afar, since the formula doesn't appeal to me as a player, but it does as a viewer. Most PS1 style games have the haunted aesthetic, usually horror games with a very short time to beat and a very low price, and that's just not for me. I always look for some engaging gameplay, and horror games don't push for it most of the time. So when I heard about Blood West, I didn't think much of it, until one time I decided to try it out. I didn't have time to occupy myself with other games, and needed something I could pick up and put down at any time, without having to go through an hour of dialogue every time. I love you, Persona, by the way. And Blood West took 20 hours out of my life. Story is very vague in what exactly is going on. The new world is cursed, people are corrupted, the dead rise again, and after a tribesperson buries you respectfully, a spirit resurrects you for dubious reasons, and will keep resurrecting you as you do its bidding. There's not much to dwell on, as the game never tells you what happens, and honestly, that's fine. The game does a lot of storytelling through environment, and keeps the Lovecraftian Western setting fresh enough that I'd love to see it revisited again sometime. The game itself is a first-person survival horror, sort of. It's got a bit of immersive sim in there, and plays like a Bioshock, sort of. You obviously have your health bar, a stamina meter that will need to be managed quite a lot, a compass that shows north, west, south, and east. You can buy a map for each area and go anywhere on the map like a small open world, but it seems small, but it's actually quite expansive with caves and height and a bunch of other stuff. It's good in that regard. Progress is somewhat linear, but it's broken up by exploration and some side quests. You also get XP for every kill. Once you level up, you can choose from a pretty big selection of perks that push you towards a playstyle, like getting drunk. These are really useful early game and lose their usefulness later, since you'll have everything you need by chapter 3 if you play your cards right. And just to make things clear, you're actually quite fragile in this game. Your health, a lot of the enemies can actually kill you really easily, and dying is not inconsequential considering that you get a debuff. So yeah, the game has a bit of tenseness when it comes down to its gameplay elements. Like, you can get a debuff that gives you 25% less XP, and it already takes a long time to level up, so the game feels light in your hands in a way. It almost feels like a Source game in its movement, though early on shooting enemies feels wrong because of the sway and the lack of accuracy, and Melee is like Skyrim, because sometimes they flinch, sometimes they don't, but either way, it only gets better the more you play, so game feel goes on the up and up as you level up and progress through the game. Guns, in particular, are my favorite. I'm not a gun nut, never have been, but I understand that guns don't really make a crazy sound. In video games though, I know what a gun should sound like. I want it to sound like an exclamation mark, so when I tell you that Blood West does it correctly, I mean to say, I'll just shut up and you listen.
Break your bone, a righteous death.
Guns are awesome in this game. They sound weighty and intimidating, chunky as hell, and when they hit a headshot, it feels even better. There's not a huge selection of guns, but weapons are plenty, from revolvers, repeater rifles, and buffalo rifles, to crossbows, bows, and throwing axes. There's a lot of weapons for you to choose from, but I unfortunately don't have footage for a lot of them, considering every melee weapon was a stealth weapon to me, and I was peppering every gun I got with kisses because I was in love. especially since you can load your guns with different ammo types that do more damage, along with incendiary rounds that do damage over time. As for the Buffalo rifle, it's got nitro rounds. Tell me that's not fucking awesome. Although me talking about this may seem like it's somewhat of a power fantasy, it's really not. The fights in this game remind you of one thing, and that you're not the hero here. You're only a slight hope that these places have, because the first fight you will engage in might as well be your first death. That's what happened to me. Fights are not only tense because any enemy can kill you, but because your dying means getting cursed and debuffed for a while. Not to mention items that require you to stay alive, enemies chase you for so long and do so much damage, you'd want to kill them before they see you rather than get into an actual fight, because they easily win those unless you decide to cheese the AI, since they can't do much against that. Enemies have a couple of variations and reskins, but never to the point where they get boring. And even then, there's a good selection of enemies, and their placements on the map is quite well done. Ammo is scarce at first, but if you hold on to your money, it will become abundant in later chapters. But even then, you'll have to try to conserve it. Sneak attacking is risky, but almost always worth it. Almost. One of the scariest moments in the game is when you're trying to take a shot at an enemy and miss. So you expect the enemy to come running at you, but instead your compass just lights up with 20 different red blips of enemies that are coming right after you. And this is how you die most times. And it shows you that preparing for fights is super important, especially for when things go wrong. Should you take a different artifact? Should you down this bottle of whiskey that gives you a better aim? Stealthy or guns blazing? And of course, your builds that you can go for reflect that aspect. And exploring through these dark and weird little environments reveal a few different things, because exploration is actually very rewarding in this game. Exploration in this game is fun. There's not much to find, except for supplies and healing items, along with a few treasures here and there. They're worth some money. But you do end up finding some artifacts and unique weapons with a lot of different effects that push you towards different playstyles. All of these have a lot of flavor text and make your exploration worthwhile. I found this sawed-off shotgun called the Decapitator, and it's awesome because it gives you 5% HP back for every headshot that you make. I love it, not only because of the sound it makes, but also because this gun gives me an idea of what type of person wielded it. Like, to the point where I can visualize them in my brain, and I can obviously hear the sound of her laughter when I get a headshot. So I like that about this game in particular. It's like when you find a legendary weapon and you wonder what type of person held it, is what I love about this. Not to mention that there's a gun called the Drunken Master that pushes you towards fighting while your character is drunk and rewarding you with more damage and damage reduction for it. So there was a point in my playthrough where my entire inventory was just whiskey that I held on to. The undead in this game has a drinking problem. I promise you. And it's communicated to me through amazing voice acting, but still, holy shit, this guy is a drinker if I've ever seen one. Throughout the game, obviously there are 3 chapters. All 3 chapters take you through 3 different locations, and a lot of the missions in this game are pretty much fetch quests. Hey, go over to this location, explore it to find this person, or find this item, bring it back towards here, type deal. And it's not bad in that aspect. I don't really mind it because the exploration is so damn fun, and the areas are so big that it doesn't really feel that way. Like, there is a peak when you go from area to area to find different things, so it doesn't really matter to me much. and there's a good amount of optional places you get to explore to, you know, extend your playtime. It doesn't. When I first played it, I didn't think it would be that long until I was 30 hours in, which is amazing for this game. It's got a good amount of replay value, and it's got a good amount of playtime, which is nice, man. Like, I didn't expect it at all. I expected it to be one of those indie title games where I would finish the first chapter. I thought the first chapter was going to be the end of the game. And by the time I got to the third chapter and was about to finish it, I thought I really wanted more. All 3 chapters add a bit of difficulty to them with more tankier enemies. Sneaking is not as easy, and it's a bit more ruthless in the later areas. But by the end, I felt very satisfied with Blood West, and it's difficult for me to put it into words what about it drew me in so much. I honestly, at the time when I played this game, I just wanted something to take off the mental stress of exams with. And I just downloaded it, started playing it, and I just fell in love super quickly because everything that you do in this game is rewarding. I never felt like I was given something in this game. Everything was super difficult to obtain, and every enemy kill and boss kill or item I find was well earned, and it felt like the game didn't treat me like an idiot, so I didn't feel like one. Never had a moment of I'm doing this wrong or I'm doing this wrong, because the game is so ruthless that it feels like any way to win is the correct way to win. And I don't know, even now as I'm speaking and trying to ramble my way through this, I can genuinely tell you that it's just one of those games that feels right. The pacing is correct. The story is like just the story is not really there, but it's just enough that I care a little bit about it. And enemies, as I say, if you have a good enemy set, you have a good game, and this game definitely has a good enemy set. I've had quite a bit of time to try to figure out how to make this video, and at the end of the day, like, all I have to say is this game is good, and I really wish I could find more games like this that I could just play and go, yeah, this was a really good experience. I don't have much reason to make this video apart from the fact that I played Blood West twice now, and I've been just looking at it going, wow, this game is just good. I hope they make a sequel. If someone from Hyperstrange gets this deep into the video and hears what I'm saying, hey, make a sequel to Blood West, or some sort of spiritual sequel. Bring us back to this world, because I want to see what you guys do more with it. Anyway, that's it. That's all I have to say. Blood West is pretty cool. I'm gonna get back into making videos now that I finished studying. I still have a shit PC, so unfortunately that's the video quality is not gonna change for a little while now. But hey, we'll figure it out. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you guys later.